Hello, welcome to Live a Juicy Life. I am your host, Lilou Mace, and today we're doing an exclusive show on body and mind. And we have here an expert, a medical expert on fitness, nutrition, stress management, an expert, Dominic Gaziano, the author of Feel Good Health, that we're going to discuss right now. So Dominic, tell me, first of all, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit, why did you write this book and what makes you actually an expert in writing a book on body and mind?
Sure. Well, I started my practice about 7 years ago. I first wanted to introduce my practice. I wanted to brush up on stress management to present to some people in the hospitals I work with. I presented to about a half a dozen Northside hospitals a lecture. It was actually a few months before 9/11, and then I learned I had to schedule a lecture a week after 9/11. It was standing room only, but I realized that people of all kinds have stress. Everybody has stress. I thought that was important.
Yeah.
And then I was a medical director for integrative medicine for a few years. I saw how the Eastern people looked at stress, and I worked with some wonderful professionals. But finally, the impetus to write this book is many patients were a little lost with all the information on the web. I wanted something concise for medicine, fitness, and nutrition.
So actually your book is divided per season, right? Why is that? Do we have particular routines we should follow in each season? Right now spring and summer is coming. We're just getting out of this long winter, long Chicago winter. So tell me, why did you decide to classify it per season like that?
Well, it's good you mentioned. That's the biggest challenge. Each season has its challenges and its opportunities.
Okay.
And you mentioned coming from winter to spring. Well, people may have had some extra stress in the winter, staying in and not getting enough light, not getting outside. I really focus a little bit on examining stress in your life at that time. It's kind of good to pinpoint some of your stresses in your life, getting started in a good, healthy routine.
Does our skin becomes a little drier? Like what can we during winter?
It depends on the climate, but yes, it typically does.
Interesting. So what are some of the unhealthy habits that our society have? Because we're overbooked, we run like crazy everywhere, we don't take time to breathe, what are some of those unhealthy habits and how does that impact our general health?
Well, I think that we all have a degree of what's called post-traumatic stress. From past experience, we may avoid certain things. You've got to really pinpoint, it's individual. I divide it up into categories. Work stress, personal relationship stress, family stress, there's environmental stress. Just getting to work is a stress. We have to identify all these things. Pinpoint, if it's a work stress, maybe a difficult situation with your boss. Pinpoint exactly what bothers you about that. Become aware, that's the first step.
And then what do you do once you know? Is there a particular thing that you should apply depending on what stress it is?
Yes, I think you can take a stress diary and see, scale 1 to 10 throughout the day, rate your levels of stress, and become better aware. And then I look it over with my patients and see what kind of patterns they have. Just the physical act of doing that, the awareness helps bring them some solace. Make a plan how to address that stress. You may not be able to talk to your boss that week, but say maybe in a couple weeks when things shift around, write it down. That's the first step.
So you have, your book is wonderful because you have some exercises in there. Does that help? And each day you do some of those exercises, or each week, so that it helps you manage your stress? And
yes. I think, and I recommend, especially in the summer section, we're going to be outside more, and we're going to kind of pay back our friends for the support for helping our stress throughout the year. Support is key in managing stress. We want maybe do some fun things with our friends that helped us out. Pay them back. Maybe it's a little less stressful, in those periods. There's two types of support. There's informational support. You go to your friends for information, or emotional support. Yeah. We want to manage stress. The friend for emotional support, someone who's honest, trustworthy, listens well.
Yeah, and he's honest.
Yes.
They can tell you really how it is.
They'll tell you really what the situation is and how to deal with it.
And tell me a little bit, how can we maintain our energy level throughout the day and throughout the years? Because I'm hearing that a lot of the aging process is being accelerated just because we have those yo-yos and up and down in our energy levels. Is that true? And how can we maintain it?
Well, I think becoming aware of the different stresses and
Yeah.
and I think, one thing that balances it out, stress management 101, there's three aspects: exercise, better, proper, balanced nutrition, and relaxation techniques. I think the exercise, focusing on that on a regular basis, it's proven to kind of level us out through different phases. If we have a regimen in there, that we put in time in our week, that we have that exercise, and if you have children or whatever, make amends. They want you to be healthy and happy as well. Make arrangements to get that exercise time, perhaps 3 half an hours a week.
Mm-hmm. But how about our ingestions? How about what we eat and what we drink, and the caffeine and the sugar and the types of foods and the categories of food that we're eating? I think is majorly, bringing ups and downs in our day, and that's huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. The simple sugars that we consume as Americans, and
What are simple sugars?
simple sugars are fructose and fructose. They're called simple because they're two little glucose molecules, and our mind and our heart and our whole body runs on glucose.
Okay.
And they're simple. They're just two little molecules, and we have glycogen, which are larger chain molecules that we store in our liver. But the simple sugars, when you consume those, they give you a peak, and they can bring you down. An insulin load comes in. Our eating habits, we want to balance those out through the day.
Yeah. Is it better to eat smaller meals then?
Yes, that's a good point. It's better to eat 4 to 5 smaller meals. And
Okay.
when I'm talking smaller meals, I mean like 2 servings of a carbohydrate and a protein, for example. 2 servings at a time. And generally the fist is the size of one in general. Depends on what you're eating, of course, or perhaps a little smaller.
Interesting.
And smaller portions. To balance out, in a word, plan your day out. Of the night before, maybe have snacks at work, and you buy appropriate groceries at home, that you can have these little meals throughout the day.
And you're mentioning also that we should do grocery lists, right? This is important to already know what you're going to buy before you do your grocery shopping.
Absolutely. And actually, to take one step further, get to know your grocer, get to know the people in the fruit section. What are the best tasting fruits, and what
are the fruits of the season?
Fruits of the season, I think create a health community.
Yeah.
in your neighborhood. Go in there in advance knowing the higher antioxidant contents you want for anti-aging.
Why is that so important, antioxidants?
Well, they're important for your body systems to not age your body systems. In general, we don't want as much oxidation damage. Limit that as much as possible. Blueberries are the highest, for example.
Oh, blueberries, nice. And great in protein too.
Right. Any kind of berries are wonderful for antioxidant content.
And omega-3s too are great?
Yes, omega-3.
Where do you find those?
In fish. It's recommended to have fish 2 times a week.
Okay, so how about vegetarian? Because now I'm a raw food eater, I'm a vegan vegetarian. Do I actually get enough of the nutriments and nutritions my body need as far as protein, calcium?
Certainly you can. You can get enough. You plan it out where you have there are certain products that are higher in protein. I think that the challenge for a lot of vegetarians is getting enough protein.
Yeah.
But there's certainly plenty of options out there for higher protein.